So thank you very much for having this talk with me today, Stacey. The first area that came to mind when I was thinking about, the hazards of our everyday life was our water, our water quality. Our bodies need water to survive. I think everyone's pretty much aware of how important hydration is, but we're fighting an uphill battle right there with our water quality. Our water's filled with microplastics. An average person consumes about the size of a credit card worth of microplastics every week. And that is thought to be mostly through our water consumption. So, not very fun stat there. Heavy metals like lead and arsenic, mercury are also um, in been, linked in our water sources. Chlorine and fluoride are added to our water to kill pathogens and prevent tooth decay. And our waters have trace amounts of pharmaceuticals like antibiotics, hormones, and painkillers, all just in our water that we're using to survive. So,
Yeah.
um, right there, it's scary when you think about like, you
Yeah.
know, I love water. I have a water bottle glued to my hip 24/7. So knowing this is it has me shaken a little bit to think about all those things that we're just not even realizing that we're consuming as well as the water. So what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you completely. Like in New Jersey, especially, I came from from New York to a suburban town, and in that town where I lived, they would send out notices and they would tell people not to drink the water. And they would tell them to buy bottled water, which is also plastic. If the sun or the heat hits it, those plastic and toxins go in it. Also, they did studies on all that bottled water, and pretty much all of them had toxins in them, and some were worse than others. And and then I thought to myself, wow, so they tell you not to drink the water. This is when I was growing up as a kid in my parents' house, not to drink the water. But what about when you go into the shower? The waters go right into your pores, into your body. So is there really a difference? And then you're telling us to drink bottled water, which is n not good at all. And then, so it makes me wonder, and then there are certain areas, that have higher rate of cancer, and why is that, and some of them are near radiation plants, and some of them, so when we talk about water, I think it's very important to find a way to filterize your water. Some people spend extra money just to get, and they get filterizations in their home, and it could be expensive, but sometimes you have to think about it. If you're saving your life and your health, is it, if you're going to be there and stay there for a long time, is it worth it?
I absolutely think it's worth it. I think, water is a lifeline, and that you brought up such a good point. You know, we can live in a city where just by default the water quality is not there. Flint, Michigan is a prime example. I live in Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes, plenty of water supply, and I still have heard of things like, 3M has had a bunch of their chemicals leaking into local water sources,
Yeah.
and that there was lawsuits because a lot of their water contaminants, the locals were drinking a bunch of that water and getting really sick. So we aren't, unfortunately, I feel like things are moving in the right direction, but a lot of times we're just going about our day-to-day life, and things unknowingly are a high health risk.
Yeah.
And that's you brought up a really good point. I think investing in those quality water filtration systems, even something like a Berkey water filter, or um, testing your water can be a really affordable way to really see
Yeah.
where you're at.
Hmm.
But I think even if you're getting your water from the tap, you should probably filter it again before you drink it.
Yes.
That's first and foremost. I think there are affordable ways to do that. Pure is a good, pretty affordable. There are a lot of affordable ones. I'd say just look at what it all is filtering out. You want to
Yeah.
make sure that it's getting out as many heavy metals out of the water, the microplastics, Ideally, you'd want the lead and chlorine and fluoride also filtered out as well. So
Yeah.
um, I think that there's nothing more important to invest in than clean drinking water and even full water filtration for your home.
Right.
Also, even just boiling your water can do a lot. Using BPA-free water containers. I love glass water bottles that are insulated, so they have something protecting it, so it's not easy to break. I
Yeah.
also like aluminum ones. I feel like the water actually tastes better from glass or aluminum.
Yeah.
Um, you're not using the plastics that are leaching into your water as well. So. Um, Really affordable overall, but I really don't think there's much more important things that you could invest in.
I have even drank water bottles, and I've tasted the water, and what a weird taste to it. Immediately, I would throw it out. But I'm like, oh my goodness, and you could just taste the toxins in some of these waters, and then that's pretty scary.
It is. I've done that where I've left my out like a plastic water bottle in my car on a
Hmm.
hot day and come in and it has like a chemical taste to it right off the bat. Just
Yeah.
not good. So yeah, sun exposure, heat exposure both compromise the quality. And then by default, over time, that water is having those plastics leak into it more and more. So
Yeah.
I would say avoid plastic water containers as much as you can. If you have to do it, sure, it's better than not drinking water at all, but really try to avoid it at all costs.
Right. And another thing that comes to my mind is that, plastic is bad for you if it gets heated, the chemicals go into the water. Well, what about when we have like the microwave and people always microwave in food in plastic containers?
That's a huge point too. I feel the same way about it. I personally, I've tried to get the microwave completely out of my home. My husband put up a big fight, so we moved it down. So we don't use it very often at all, but I have tried to, I'll take a little extra time and put everything in a glass container or cook it up on the stove top rather
Yes.
than putting it in the microwave. But that's a very good point. When you're heating stuff in plastic, that plastic's leaching into your food and water. So avoid that as much as you can, if, altogether, preferably.
Yes, definitely. I
Thank,
agree.
thank you.